with the World Safety Day that is commemorated on the 28th of April. But just before we start, I'd like to invite Emmanuel to start us off with a word of prayer. Karibu, Emmanuel.
Okay, let's pray. Father, we come before you this wonderful morning. Thank you for the gift of life. Pray for your guidance as you're going to start this session. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you for starting us off with a word of prayer. I'd like to request that as we log on, that we then turn off our microphones so to avoid distracting the speaker for today. So today we are privileged to have a specialist in this area of ergonomics and safety at the workplace, and also in occupational health generally. Damaris, kindly help me in muting these members that are joining. Yeah, I kindly request that we mute so that we do not interrupt the speaker once he starts. And as I mentioned, today we are privileged to have a specialist in this area. We have Dr. Kahenya, who has a very informative presentation. And without further ado, because I know we have quite an informative session, I want to give the floor over to you, Daktari. You're most welcome. Dr. Kahenya, if you can hear me. All right, we may have lost him. Let me give him a few minutes, then we can start off. Dr. Kahenya, you can proceed to unmute. Yeah.
Just give me a minute, Yvonne.
Okay.
Can you see my slide, Yvonne? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can see the slide.
Yvonne?
We can hear you, Dr.
Okay, and you can see the slide?
No, we can't see the slides now. Yeah, now we can see. Now I can see.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, everyone, and sorry for that technical hitch. My name is Dr. Kahenya, as Yvonne has introduced me. I'm a family medicine doctor or a general practitioner, and also an occupational health practitioner. I have a passion for workplace wellness and workplace health issues. And that is what we've been practicing for the last couple of years. And therefore, thank you for the privilege to present this very good topic on ergonomics at the workplace. But like you will notice, ergonomics also has an application even at home. So it's not limited to only the workplaces, but that is where our focus will be. But essentially, even the way we carry out tasks at home or anywhere else that we basically will be, may also affect our health. But we'll try and focus on the workplace ergonomics. And what we say is that the ergonomic issues are as varied as there are occupations. The focus for today will basically be on the office, on manual handling, on driving, and then on smartphone utilization. So it's fairly wide. Most of it will be more of just a slide to demonstrate or to show how problems will emanate from our postures and such. And so even though the slides are many, it should not take very long. And to basically start us off, we look at what will be covered. We'll be covering what is workplace ergonomic and why it matters, posture and movement, plus material handling. We'll be covering computer ergonomics, driving ergonomics, and then the effects of technology, particularly the use of the digital screen and also the smart phones. For definition, what is ergonomics? Basically, this is a broad term addressing the work processes, the work systems, the equipment that we use, and how they relate to the safety of the employee. So it basically encompasses safety, comfort, ease of use, performance, aesthetics. All those features basically are part of what we call ergonomics. And even in what we would look at a safe work area or a safe place, basically like in the office, there are quite a number of issues that may also develop. So don't look at ergonomics as only applicable to people maybe with heavy physical tasks. Even minor tasks that would happen in the office can cause ergonomic problems. And what we are saying, simply put, it is, yes.
I'd like to request if you could put it on slide mode. On slideshow mode, yeah.
That better? I think there is a delay.
Yeah, there's a slight delay, but you can continue. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, in simple terms, ergonomics is the study of work and the ways to make the job or the tasks fit the employees better, or ways to make the work easier, smarter, not necessarily harder. Now, this is important because we change the workplace, we change the equipment, we change the tools that we need to do for the employee to be comfortable, for the employee to be protected from harm. We don't do it the other way around. So it is basically how do we change the tasks, how do we change the equipment we use, how do we change the environment so that the employee basically is better suited for that work environment. Remember, our physical dynamics are different. Some are tall, some are short, some are heavy. So we aim to accommodate everyone with all our differences. And it's the work environment that basically has to change so that each employee is basically well accommodated. What are the goals when we are talking about work ergonomics? We want to promote safety. We want to reduce musculoskeletal disorders, which are the main problems that result from poor ergonomics. These are the repetitive strain injuries, excessive fatigue, awkward postures, and such. And we also want to fit the job to the worker. That's what we have said, not the other way around, and thereby increase efficiency and productivity. And we basically focus on the workstation design, on the tool and the equipment that we use. The procedures also matters and the work processes. That is how we carry out the task that the job demands. and including the workload, the time pressure, the shift systems, and all that, because they have an effect on your health and safety. Those are the areas that we focus on. And then before we proceed, we talk about ergonomic hazards and risks. This we categorize into three. We have the physical hazards and physical risks. This include noise, awkward postures, repetitive tasks for people maybe working with computers. You have to keep on striking the keyboard, or people in assembly line or using conveyors. There are people who maybe maintenance technicians, they use forceful exertions to lift, to unfasten, or to fasten certain items. We also talk about material handling for people involved in maybe carrying or lifting. There are static postures, people prolonged sitting like in an office, or even prolonged standing, maybe in a line. And also the direct pressure that we apply, or vibrations, or even the environment, including the extremes of temperature. Those are all physical hazards that basically affect the ergonomic safety. There is also the bit on mental and cognitive factors, the work stress, the work pressures, the work environment, and the organizational aspects that come with the work that we do, the work design, the workflow, the teamwork, the communication. All those are basically classified as ergonomic hazards, and with attendant risks that can cause health problems. What are the benefits of an ergonomic program? A good ergonomic program, that is. On production, essentially there will be increased efficiency. There is increase in physical well-being of the workforce. There is increased productivity and increased employee satisfaction, morale, among others. But on health, and that is where we are focusing on today, health and safety, there will be reduced incidence of injuries or even illness. Some of these injuries, illnesses can result to long-term disability, chronic backaches. It also reduces absenteeism and reduces basically worker discomfort. Those are the benefits when you have a good ergonomic program on the health and safety of the workers. And now we get into the actual problems that are related to ergonomic. This is what we call ergonomic related disorders. They fall into two groups majorly. We have said musculoskeletal disorders. These are many: backache, neck pains. There are very many. And also we have the stress and psychosocial disorders. And this has basically become a very important issue that has actually demanded a separate registration. Psychosocial disorders at workplace have now receiving more attention because of the prevalence. They have been on the increase. Mental health issues have become a big problem. And if it is related to work stress, job demand, and all that, that basically falls squarely under the ergonomic related problems. So they fall in those two broad categories. And just as an illustration, what are some of these common related, ergonomic related disorders we are talking about? Low back pains. Many people will complain of this after prolonged sitting, after lifting. Neck shoulder tension from computer use. Some people will complain of headaches or eye strain. There is also what we call carpal tunnel syndrome, particularly for computer users, whether you have inflammation of the tendon at the wrist, and this would result to even weakness so that you cannot be able to grasp items. And there are many other tendon and joint problems, from knees to ankles and such. These basically are what we, in broadly, we call the musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDS. But on the part of the psychological problems, we have problems related to psychosocial factors, depression, or even anxiety, people complaining of burnout, people complaining of excessive fatigue. basically these are psychological or psychosocial factors that may lead to actual mental health problems. And the causes for these ergonomic problems, when we look at the musculoskeletal, we are talking about the awkward postures. It could be bending, it could be twisting, it could be stooping or overreaching. Repetitive task, we already mentioned this, particularly for machine-based work, for people in manufacturing especially. Heavy exertions, whether it's lifting, pulling, carrying, all that, and static positions. On the mental health aspect, if there is excessive workload or time pressure, and this is very common in certain workplaces, where any work that is done is always on a tight deadline, you may have to work extra hours, so the workload may be excessive, the time pressure may also be an issue. If you have poorly designed work tools or even equipment, or even the workstation does not fit you, again, this can lead to the mental health problems and the poor work organization. Lack of control, this is also common, where you are given a task, but maybe your input is not required, you have no control of how you do that task, so you are not involved, but you're expected to deliver. That also causes quite a bit of stress on most workers. When social interactions are not very good, either poor communication between line managers and the production team, or there is lack of support, perceived or otherwise, there may be inequality, there could be discrimination, and there could be harassment. If any employee basically experiences this, then that will basically lead to some stress, and this will lead to mental health issues. So those are the common things that basically cause the ergonomic problems. We go to the pictorials. What we are seeing here is the different work postures. One could be reaching for an item that is overhead, so there is overreaching. You could be kneeling, you could be bending back or front, you could be squatting. So all these are different work postures that we'll experience depending on where we are working. This is an image that basically is showing somebody working on a computer, but his spine is actually curved. That is a very poor posture. Same with the picture on the right, what my cursor is reflecting, somebody working on a bench. But basically, even with a good seat, there is no back support, and the back is basically bent. That is basically poor posture. The picture on the far right, with the back straight, with the neck straight, and the head fully supported, that would be a preferred posture. So just to illustrate on the poor postures. Again, even when we sit or when we stand, it matters. You may have a very good seat, you may have even what we call orthopedic seat, but if you don't use it properly, again, it will not give you the benefit. The picture on the left, somebody is sitting, part of his back is supported, but is not sitting upright or with the back straight. So the curvature of the back will also put strain on the muscles. The picture in the middle, basically, the person is completely off the back support. So he is straight, his back is straight, but this, you will end up straining the back. And for people, like even sometimes when you're sitting on what we call a bar stool, the stools don't offer any back support. If you sit prolonged in such position, you will end up with back problems because you are using more of your back muscles to maintain stability. So this is what or how we should sit, with the back straight, fully supported by the back. The way you stand, again, you might see some people leaning a bit either too much forward or too way back. Our ladies, particularly when you put on the high heels, the heel, because it's elevated, pushes your upper body forward. But for you then to balance and to be able to walk, you have to arc your way back, or to arc your back backwards, so that you maintain stability. So even for the high heels, you can only do it for short period or short walks because of that instability or the excessive fatigue that basically is placed by that angulation. Picture on the right shows how one should basically be whilst walking, standing, and with everything aligned along the structural skeletal column. Head supported on the shoulders, the back held straight, and in a straight line together with the knee, so that the weight is distributed evenly over the supporting skeletal structure. That is the way one should be. Any other posture basically will lead into more strain, and we'll be looking particularly for the head. When you just lean forward, the head becomes heavier. And we are saying it's not just about at work. We have these images, it's very common when we are doing laundry at home, particularly for what we would say maybe people who don't have the correct infrastructure. This is a lady who is doing laundry. It's only good that our ladies have flexible spines. Otherwise, for men, if you did this for an hour, you hardly can basically stand upright. But this is a very wrong posture with the back bent completely, both the two pictures. And with prolonged posture in this, you put a lot of strain on the back and you will end up with back problems. Ideally, you lift the wash basin so that you are more in an upright posture rather than putting it on the floor. And this happens outside of work, so it has nothing to do even with workplace. About sitting or even sleeping, if your bed doesn't support your spine well, maybe the mattress is worn out, maybe it's too soft, you end up with curving. And if the spine again curves, this puts a strain on the muscles. The best way is to have a medium density mattress that basically keeps your spine straight. Also, don't use very high pillows, because if you use high pillows, again, you end up with curvature, even if your mattress was okay. And this again happens at home. The gentleman on the right, very common when we are relaxing at home on a sofa set. This is the kind of postures we assume when watching TV and all. If you have a back problem, or even if you don't, this can result to back issues because of the pressure at the neck and even the curvature on the back. And you notice, like our old ladies, particularly when they sit on sofas, they're so comfortable, cozy sofas, they sink. Sometimes even those ladies getting out of that, or our old folks, not just ladies, getting out of or standing up from sitting on a sofa set, for the old people, it is a big problem because you sink and your body assumes some of this curvature, and this causes a lot of strain. Actually, for the most comfortable seat, even at home, and for people with back issues, it is the dining armchair. It's straight. It allows your back to remain straight, and you basically will protect your back. So when you look at all these postures, both at work, at home, they essentially will affect your muscles, and they can give you those musculoskeletal problems. On material handling, and this is for people who are doing lifting of loads, carrying, pushing, any forceful exertion, whether fastening or unfastening, pinching or grasping forces, and what we said, overreaching, bending, stooping, and all that. They are very common in all workplaces. The way we carry even those light loads, like computer bags, again, when you slang it on one shoulder, you have to compensate because of the weight. And the more heavier it is, the more you compensate. So the picture on the left basically showing shoulder-strapped weights, computer bags, or any of those small items that we do, or light items that we carry. And this results to a bit of curvature on the spine. This is basically wrong. If you are to carry that, including our children, particularly for the formative years, and with our CBC and the many books they carry, Those books can be pretty heavy. So we prefer when you have bags that you can strap on the two shoulders to equally distribute the weight, and therefore the spine remains straight. If we put those heavy loads, and even for children during the formative, and they are carrying it on one shoulder, this basically will result to a bit of problem. So the way you lift, the way you carry even those light loads, if the body is not symmetrical, it can result to problems. At work, there is what we recommend. Most loads have been recommended. Previously, we were packing most of our items in 90 kilogram bags. By rule, this has been reduced to not more than 50, and it is recommended that the weights are actually lowered to 25 kilograms. We are still working to lower that so that it comes down to 15 kilograms, and that means anybody lifting or carrying is only carrying a 15 kilogram and maximum of 25. Anything above that, basically there is more strain and exertion. Again, the weight to be carried depends on where you are picking it from. Any weight should be carried between the knee and the shoulder level. If it's above that, then you will have problems. If it's below the knee level, then you will have more problems. So there is a likelihood of musculoskeletal problems. If it is above, you reduce the weight. If it's also below knee, you reduce the weight. But ideally, the maximum load to lift, to carry should be around navel weight, and that is the belly button, and that is a maximum load of 25. Anything above that, we work to reduce so that it doesn't cause problems. So that is just an illustration. How do you carry a load? Essentially, keep your head straight. Don't look down. Other than even interfered vision, this also puts a strain on your neck muscles. And put the load closest to the body. Don't put the load far away from the body. Even a light load away from the body, it will cause problems. When we were doing our physical education, PE, unaambiwa uite mvua, even after a few minutes of that, and your arms are not carrying anything, you start getting fatigue, the upper arms fatigue. So the further away the load is from the body, the more likely you will fatigue your muscle, and the more likely you end up having injuries. So keep it close to the body. The way you lift matters. You basically squat, like we are seeing on the left, upper. You squat, bring the load close, like between the knees, stand with your back straight, and then walk with your head straight. That is the correct way you would pick an item, if it's an item that you can hold with your hands. There is the lower picture, which basically shows incorrect lifting with the back curved. This is, even picking a ball pen can cause a problem. Even spreading your bed in that posture will cause a problem. So essentially, you should have, if you're picking a load, squat and keep your back straight, not this position where your back is curved. Now, what we call glutes, hii nyama ya serikali, the glutes, the big muscles, the buttocks, they are designed, they are bigger and they are stronger to help you stand up and to lift. The back muscles are very weak, and therefore when you're in that position, you are using your weaker muscles to support yourself as you're lifting that load, and that causes many, many back problems. So again, picture on the right with your back straight, load next to the knees or between the knees or closest to the body. That is the correct way to lift an item, not with the back curved as we can see in this picture. Wherever there are mechanical aids, we use them. It could be pulleys, it could be trolleys, and particularly with a bigger load or a heavier load, use the trolleys or mechanical aids whenever possible. And if that is the nature of your work, basically we ask for the trolleys or the lifting tackles or such, the mechanical aids to be provided so that they ease on the lifting and carrying. Prevention of musculoskeletal injuries, we limit the loads to lift or to carry to less than 25 kg, but the best aim is 15 kgs. Deliberate movements, avoid fast jerky motions. This, of course, will not give you stability. The item can fall, and then that rapid, fast movement can result to muscle injury. You can reduce lifts per minute, stagger or rotate the job worker, minimize awkward postures, all the ones that we have mentioned, inspect for sharp edges or avoid or clean slippery surfaces. Keep fingers away from pinch or shear points because they can get trapped. And grasp boxes or cartons on alternate top and bottom. Don't lift the box just with your two hands on the bottom. Don't lift with the two hands on the side because the item you are lifting can slip. One hand should be on top, the other one supporting from below. That is on material handling. We go to computer workstations. The chair, the desk, the monitor, many of us are familiar with this and the distances that are involved. The screen should be at eye level or just 1 or 2 inches below. The angle of the arm should be at 90 at the elbow, and the wrist should be in neutral position. Your back should be straight, hips should be at 90, the knees should be at 90, and you should firmly step on the floor. If you are shorter, get the footrest. If you are taller, we are saying the seat should be on caster, 5 caster, it should be adjustable so that you basically can lower or increase the height depending on your preferred position. But adjustable seat, adjustable arm support, and even the back support and neck support, that is what we recommend for the office setup. Common problems associated with computer work: eye and vision strain, awkward postures if we are not assuming that posture that we have basically shown, repetitive strain injuries, keyboard strikes, typing, and then prolonged or what we call static postures. What do they cause on the body? Eye irritation, eye fatigue, eye pains, headache, shoulder neck pains, low back pains, wrist pains, what we call carpal tunnel syndrome. Poor circulation will result to leg muscle cramps and even pain from the poor circulation. Again, this is very common after a day in the office or after prolonged sitting. You can see people stretching because of the tension on the shoulders or even the neck. Correct sitting posture, back straight, the angulation at the hip 90 with the knees 90, arms almost 90. This is somebody who is not benefiting from a chair. And we go asking for, these good chairs, but then when it comes to sitting, we don't use it properly. So we'll still end up with problems. And there is a big question of laptop and desktop. Laptop basically is convenient because of portability. Any other mechanics or body mechanics, ergonomical issues, laptop is not preferred. But you find many offices, people are again using laptops because they will come with them, they can live with them, they can change sitting positions with them. But basically, the postures we assume with ergonomic is basically poor. This is the way we'll use a laptop, either the laptop, and this is because of the way the laptop is designed, it's smaller, the keyboard and the screen are fixed, so you can't change anything. You may either have to put it in that position where the laptop screen is either too close or too low, so there is bending. The viewing angle may be too far, or when you elevate also, it causes problems with the wrist. Like even what they are saying is the correct posture, you will then find the wrist angle is not in neutral because you have elevated the laptop with a stand unless you are using an external keyboard. If you are typing or going to type on the laptop keyboard, then your wrist will be actually in wrong position. So we need to look into this, and even the provision of the stand, laptop stand is actually not going to give you correct posture for the arms. not unless you use an external keyboard. Again, this is very common, somebody trying to work on a computer, and this is just pictures to show the correct wrist position with a wrist support. Prevention of computer-related ergonomic problems. One of the main things that we are emphasizing, and particularly for office, is to create both a sitting and a standing workstation. So you can sit for 2 hours and then you can stand and continue your work with a standing workstation. You can continue working. So this changes the posture, and this is very helpful, particularly for people who are staying in office for too long. So you create an ergonomically correct computer workstation. Crescent-shaped desks are ideal. Adopt all those correct postures that we have talked about. Take frequent breaks. 10 to 15 minutes is recommended for every 1 or 2 hours of computer use. And you can do the 20-20 rule, looking at an object 20 feet away for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. This will break the monotony of just focusing on the computer, which will cause the eye strain and the fatigue. Driving, ergonomics. We will mention this because some of us, or most of us, are driving, and sometimes the way we drive also matters, can give us problems. Driving is not the same as sitting in a car. Sitting down, there is an activity when you're driving, reaching out at the foot pedals, you're concentrating on your side mirrors. Now, this is just a driving posture that can, many of us either assume. Correct driving posture, back supported, back straight, foot reaching the pedals very well. Arms are slightly bent when holding onto the steering wheel. The middle picture, don't lean too forward, otherwise the back is not supported. Don't push the seat too far back so that the arms are straight. Again, with straight arms, you will end up with arm fatigue. And sometimes you don't reach the foot pedal with the full foot, you reach it with the toes. It's not recommended. Musculoskeletal problems related to driving. Arms are held high, unlike when seated in a desk. This is different driving and sitting. Feet have to be extended to frequently operate the foot pedals and all. Person is exposed to low frequency vibration when in a car. What are the common problems that we experience for drivers? There will be stiff neck and stiff neck muscles and shoulders, low back pain. There may be hip pains, there may be fatigue, and such problems. Causes of this: poor posture, improperly adjusted seat, and also whole body vibration. There is also prolonged or static posture, stress or tension, cramped space, if particularly the vehicle has a small space. Again, wrong driving postures. That shows the correct posture. This is incorrect. Back is curved, no support. The lady on the right, again, you will see this too close to the steering wheel. The arms are very flexed at the elbow, and the knees are almost knocking the steering wheel, knocking the dashboard. There is no back support, and you will see quite a number of people in that position. This is wrong sitting. It will invariably give you problems, particularly if you do driving for long. Correct driving ergonomics, we say don't sit too near or too far from the steering wheel. Allow 20 to 30 centimeters between, that's a foot, chest and the steering wheel. You should reach the pedals with full foot, not the tip. The knees should not hit the steering wheel. Aim for about 5 centimeters between back of knee and the front edge of seat to allow for free flow of blood around the knee. Thighs should be fully supported by the seat, and this is where people add pillows, or you could have with the modern cars adjustment on the seat. These are some of the things that you need to do to basically get the full benefits or the correct ergonomics. Seat should be raised such that eye level is 10 centimeters above the steering wheel. If it's too low, then you are basically viewing more like at a tangent. And this causes you not to even see what is in front of the car. If it's again too high, your head may be knocking the roof of the car. The back lean should be about 100 to 110 degrees. Past 90 degrees, it will cause, less than 90 degrees, it will cause poor posture. You'll be sort of be forced to lean too far forward. Head restraint in position, ensure adequate head space and all. Make small adjustments on postures. So even as you are driving, particularly long distance, keep on alternating your posture. We go on the seat to alternate the pressure points. And if you are carrying a wallet for the gentleman or phone, remove it from the back pocket. Otherwise, when you sit on that, it causes more pressure and that can cause a problem. Take frequent breaks if you are doing long distance. So again, car ambience should be for comfort. Don't put it too cold, don't put it too hot. Just get the environment that is good for you. And when getting in, getting out, make sure you don't get the head knocks or knee bumping onto the car frame. Otherwise, that can cause injury. And then we move to the final one on the smartphones, because we think we have 10 more minutes. Smartphones and tablets use. This has become our everyday living. Everybody has a smartphone. It has become the office tool. Communication most of the time it's happening through our phone or even our phones and the similar smart gadgets. Now, if you adopt the wrong posture, like you can see, if you stand with your head at 0 degrees, the head will only weigh 10 lbs or 10 to 12 lbs. That is maximum 5 to 6 kilos. If you bend like at 60 degrees, that head equivalent weight and the strain it puts on the neck muscles is like 60 lbs. That is 30 kilos. So from 5 kilos to 30 kilos just by changing the position of the head. And you will notice many of us, this is how we again operate our phones. Either we have eyesight problem or we can't see properly, the phone screen is small and we bend. This is more than 60 degrees. This head after a few minutes will be weighing like 30 kilos, putting a strain on the shoulders and the neck muscles. If we are used to this kind of posture, we will invariably get problems from that. And the correct way to stand again is to keep your head straight, keep the head supported at the neck and the shoulder, and that way you will basically avoid the strain. So ergonomic problems associated with the use of smartphones, there is the awkward postures, there is prolonged static postures, there is repetitive task, swiping the screen, gripping forces, you are holding onto the phone, and there is also a big problem, blue light emission, particularly when using the phones at night. And blue light emission interferes with your sleeping. It affects the sleeping hormone, melatonin. So we are discouraged from carrying our phones or using our phones just in the bedroom, particularly just before sleeping. How do we prevent this? Hold your phone higher to avoid head hanging low, keeping your spine neutral. Use alternate fingers to type or text or even swipe to avoid the overuse injury. We'll be looking at that. Alternate voice dictation with texting. Many of our smartphones have that function. If in meetings or you use you are using the phone for long, prefer the use of headphones instead of basically operating the phone. Avoid cluttering the phone between shoulder and knee and ear. Again, you'll find many people multitasking. Somebody is driving, the phone
Daktari, you're on mute. Please unmute, Daktari. Dr. Kahena, if you can hear me, you're on mute. Okay, please allow us to notify Daktari that he's on mute. Okay, just give us a minute. I've been able to get Daktari. He's working on it. So as Daktari is working on his audio, feel free to type in your questions. I've seen a couple of them have already been answered as he was going through the presentation. So if you have any more questions, feel free to type in the chat box, and also when he's done, we'll be able to also give a few opportunities to a few members to just unmute and ask the questions. So let's just give him a few minutes to rectify on that. I know we are learning a lot. Personally, I'm learning a lot, taking note of a couple of areas where we've been doing things the wrong way. So let's continue taking notes. Doctor, you can confirm that you can hear me.
Hii kitu mnanisikia. Hello, Yvonne.
Yes, Doctor. Yeah, now
You
I
can
can
hear
hear
me
you.
now?
Yes, you're back on.
Sorry about that. I will quickly go back. You said slide 49.
Yes, please.
That is where we are.
Okay. All right.
Everybody
We could
saw
start
it?
from there. Start,
Okay.
yeah, from prevention. Yeah.
Okay. So you hold the phone higher, use alternate fingers to type or text, and to avoid the overuse injury. You can use dictation other than texting. Many of our smartphones have this. Use headphones, particularly when lengthy calls or in meetings. And headphones are preferred to the earbuds. They are more convenient, they are more comfortable. Avoid cuddling phone between shoulder and ear. You will see again people because when they attempt multitasking, they are doing a task and the phone, they are still on phone, so they put the phone between the ear and the shoulder. This causes quite a bit of strain on the muscles. And avoid tight grips because this will cause more of arm and finger problems. Limit use of hands, like we have said, word prediction. Avoid text binging. You don't have to write 100 texts at once. You can either call or you can do that in breaks. And you can perform various stretches to reduce the strain on the muscles. And I will illustrate what we call technology or ergonomic problems. We have text neck, we have text finger, we have claw hand. This I had illustrated just the weight of your head by holding it straight. It weighs around 5 kilos. When you bend in this extreme, and we saw the individual on the phone, the head actually now weighs almost like 30 kilos. Now 30 kilos vis-a-vis 5, and all that weight is borne by the shoulders and the neck muscles. If you are in that position for long, you will end up injuring your neck. This is what we call tech neck. Because of that posture and prolonged use of the phone in that posture, you end up with soreness of the neck and shoulders. That is tech neck. You also have, particularly our Gen Z and many people who basically use the phone a lot, you cause inflammation of the index finger joints, and to the point where they end up being curved. And this is what we call trigger finger. There is tendon inflammation, joint inflammation, because of the position the finger assumes, the index finger assumes when keying in or when typing, to a place where many fingers now cannot straighten. That is called a trigger finger. You can just have the sore tendons and joints of the thumb from the swiping. When you are swiping to open the screen and such, the two joints are commonly involved. So that is overuse injury. You can also have the test claw hand, where the wrist is basically affected or inflamed, and even the fingers, they are bent or clawed, like we are seeing that. Those are common problems that are actually we are experiencing or we are identifying because of the use of the smart gadgets. How do we prevent some of these smartphone or smart gadget associated head injuries? Take a break, rest your hands and fingers, do muscle strengthening, switching hands, have hands-free features, and use shorter text or less texting and no text binging. And we are saying you can use dictation phone feature, or even use speaker instead of directly operating the phone. These are some of the stretches that you can do in the office: stretching the thumb, opening the fingers, or extending, flexing the wrist, crunching the wrist. Those are all exercises that you can do to ease on the tension. The same for the finger stretch. So takeaway, what are we saying? Ergonomic problems are universal. They are at work, they are at home, the way tunabeba ile mtungi ya maji, the way we are sleeping, sitting in our home, just like we are sitting in the office, there will be ergonomic related problems. It is the responsibility of both the employer, the employee to take responsibility. You can have that good seat, but if you don't sit properly, you will still end up with a problem. So every person, employer, employee, have a responsibility to basically mitigate against the ergonomic related problems. And we have seen poor ergonomics can cause a lot of problems, from physical problems, musculoskeletal disorders, to even mental problems. So good ergonomics is essential for preventing injuries and boosting productivity. Your workspace and your self should be complementary. They should be fitting one another so that the workplace is comfortable, is safe, and healthy. And posture, repetitive motions, exertions, or are key predictors in the development of ergonomic problems. I think we end there. We may not have time for Q&A, but Yvonne, you will guide. And sorry for the technical problem. Back to you, Yvonne.
All right, thank you, Daktari. Not at all. We understand technology and we try work around it. We do have a few minutes for some Q&A. Good thing is that while you are presenting, you answered some of the questions. So I'll just head to the chat box, and Damaris, you can also help me. We can go to the chat box and see the questions that are there. Give me a minute. So there are people who are saying this is good, requesting that we share the presentation. Yes, we will do that. We'll definitely share the presentation and the recording. So Freedom is asking, are there any physical or mental exercises for a heavy laptop user? I think Daktari covered that, but Daktari, if you have anything that you'd want to add to that, you can add on to that. And also, we're requesting for your contact, so you'll be able to tell us once you're done answering the questions where we can find you, and you can also share your telephone number for those who would want to reach and engage you further. So that's the first question, Daktari. Do you want me to read a couple of them so that you answer all of them at once?
I could answer that quickly. Yes, for the one who is a heavy computer user, and many of us have actually become that is our daily life, I would say, if not the computer, the phones. Basically manage the time you spend on the phone or on the computer with the gadget. One, we said you can have alternate sitting and standing position, and this we are encouraging the offices to develop a working stand station. You sit for 1 hour or 2 hours, then you stand. That change of posture alone basically will help. We said you can basically take breaks even after you have like 2 hours on the computer, take 15 minutes break. Physically go get, a cup of tea or water, get off the seat, walk a little bit and all that. And we have said also you can do the 20-20 rule. So you practice breaks, and this you deliberately do, however busy or even if it's in prolonged meeting. You can just ask for 5 minutes, you dash for a cup of coffee. This breaking the concentration will allow circulation, will allow movement, and will avoid the prolonged or static postures which can cause basically harm. So it's you to manage the time you spend and how you spend on the computer. Next.
On lifting loads from the ground, we are advised to squat. How about when the knees have issues? How do you go about it in terms of now squatting?
Squatting. Okay, this again is a general rule. It may not apply to everyone. Like you're saying, maybe the knees may have a problem. The load might be a bit bigger, such that it may not even fit properly when you squat. There are many alternatives. If you have knee problems, then you are not encouraged to bend. You basically can ask assistance. And this is where we were talking even about the mechanical aids or even assistance from colleagues. Alternatively, if the load is too big, you don't lift it alone. You ask for somebody else to basically assist you in the lifting. And of course, that time you're also getting checked on the knee if you need knee support or you need help on the knee, so that you basically manage the actual problem before then you go to the lifting. But that you either share or you can ask somebody to lift it, put it on the table, and then you now lift it or carry it from the table. Where there are many workers, you can assign somebody else to do that instead of yourself. Yvonne?
All right, thank you. Ferdinand, I'm not sure I have gotten your question, but feel free to unmute and ask if I don't get it right. You have asked, what about the light from desktop and laptop when someone is not using lens?
Yes, with the computer, there is the issue. Because of time, we didn't cover every aspect. Remember, the ergonomics is very wide. Actually, we glossed over the top. If we went into the details, it will be too long. But good computer ergonomics has also to do with the glare. If there is sun reflecting or light reflecting on the screen, that basically will cause problems. That is the glare. So you may either have to have a screen to filter that. Many of the computers also have light adjustment. If it's too bright, you can dim, or if you prefer it brighter, you can basically increase on that. At least the modern computers are allowing that. If there is glare, if it is from the sun, you can shield that. If it's from direct overhead lights, again, you shield the fluorescent tubes so that there is no direct light reflecting on the computer. Basically, there are ways to minimize the glare, which if it's excessive, it can cause problems. Yvonne?
Oh, all right. Okay. Karanja requests that you comment on heavyweight lifting in the gym.
It is a big problem, particularly if you don't do it correctly. And this is where you need to be guided by the gym instructor. The mistake we do is actually, tunasema nini, kujipima. Like I can lift 50 kilos, 100 kilos. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't do it gradually. So in your gym, you need to start small and then increase in terms of the weights that you're lifting. The warming up is necessary just to make sure that your muscles is now ready to basically do the lifting. Know your limit, don't overdo, because those what we call static exercises can be very injurious, like lifting or even doing the abdominal, the roller, or even push-ups. Those are static exercises. They put a strain on the muscle, or a bigger strain on the muscle. If you don't do it properly, you will end up injuring yourself. So essentially be guided, do the warm-up exercise, then do gradual lifting, and don't overdo. Don't like, I need to lift 200 kilos. That would cause problems. Those very heavy weight lifters, you see them putting a band on the waist, because you can actually even rupture your abdominal muscles when you're doing the lifting. So they have to put in that band, but you don't need to do that if your aim is fitness. You don't want to cause injury. So you limit the weights that you have to lift and do it correctly. Yvonne?
Thank you, Dr. So Patrick Kigama, I think I will allow you to unmute and further ask your question if you don't mind, if you're there. Or I could just read your question. This is in addition to what Dr. Yu had just talked about before on squatting. He's asking, I'm imagining squatting and dressing the bed. How is it possible to dress the bed without bending?
Okay, that's a bit tricky. You have to bend in that instance. But when you have control, and this is what we say, you avoid jerky or very fast movement. When you basically, sometimes you go even to turn and you find you have neck injury. And it's just turning your head, and you can injure your neck, and from there, you basically can't straighten the neck. This is because of the malposition, or the muscle was not aligned. When you are doing the bed, it may not be a heavy physical task. Yes, you have to bend, but when you do it deliberately, as in you align, the muscle is now ready, and you are deliberate in your motions, you will avoid potential injury. Sometimes you are too quick and you just do it, the muscle is not aligned, or you are twisting, body twisting. That is even more dangerous than just even the bending forward or backwards. When the body is twisted, that becomes even more risky. So when the muscle is aligned, even when you're doing these tasks, it is safer. When it's not aligned, and this happens mostly when we are either not deliberate or we are doing it in a very fast pace, then the risk of injury is going to be more. So essentially, we are talking about minimizing risks. Sometimes certain things like making a bed or picking a pen, we still need to do that. Although ideally picking a pen from the floor, you can squat. But for where you can't, be deliberate and be coordinated in your movement.
All right.
Yvonne?
Thank you very much. I think I see no questions. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise up your hand. In the meantime, Daktari, you can be telling us where can we find you, and you can also share your telephone number so that we can reach out to you after this for those who have more questions that they would have and would want to consult you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Basically, I'll be more in the field because I look after the company institutions most of the time. So I'll be visiting if it's BAT, BL, Kenchik, whatever it is. Many times I'll be in the field, but my office is at National Bank Building, Harambee Avenue. That's where we have the clinic, National Bank Building, Harambee Avenue, on first floor. I can be able to share that with you, Yvonne, and then you can be able to share it with the rest. I also have an office at Garden Estate. That's actually where I'm having this talk from. Again, I will be able to share that location. That's where I'll sit for my ease of movement most times because it's easier for me to move from there. My telephone number, you have it. You can be able to share, but it's 0733 72 28 24, 733 72 28 24, or 791 33 8424. I will be able to share these numbers and the location details with Yvonne, and she can be able to share it with the rest of the team. And we are available for consultation. That's my work. Feel free to reach me whenever you have a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana, Daktari. Any final remarks from you as we close up?
Like we said, when you look at that whole ergonomic subject, it is what we do, how we do. It is not even about work. Where how we sit at home, our sofa sets may be comfortable, they may cause problems if we don't sit properly. Remaining sitting prolonged hours, it will cause problem. When we visit social places, we are sitting on the bar stool, no back support, it can cause problem. So the ergonomics, the subject of ergonomics is a very broad subject. It cuts across both workplaces at home. We each have to understand how to basically maintain the good postures, good lifting, and we have to lift both at home items and even do the laundry. We have to know how to do it properly so that we avoid the injuries. When it's excessive, and even going to the gym, like somebody has asked, again, you might overtrain. And you find even people who, even running, they overdo it. When you do that overrunning, you will invariably come with knee problems. The people who do aerobics, you do it for a time, you do it very well, you overdo it, you will come with knee problems. So we need to balance how we do things. We need to know how we do things to avoid problems that can arise now and even problems that may arise later. We do it properly, we learn the proper ergonomics, and that is the way we save ourselves from most of those problems.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Dr. for your time, and thank you, members, for your participation and your questions. We will definitely share the contacts with the presentation. And so, asanteni sana for joining today. We will see you again next month for another very informative webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all, and good.